Hi. Always start that late, and every time I say I'm going to start it on time, and every time I do. So on that note, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my hose. So, my hose, while cleaning up to prepare for our concert, this concert, split open at the collar. You know, there's like a metal collar that goes right into the faucet that comes out of the wall. And it just completely cracked off. And I was like, what a fucking relief that is. Because I call this part of the conversation when things break completely. Because the truth is, it was half broken for years. You know, there was a thin seam right there, and the water would just squirt out all over the place. It was like a christening every time I turned that hose on or off. It was just like this stream of water, and it drips there, and so there's like green, like moss that cut. It has been a problem. So when it broke, I looked at it and I'm like, that is irreparable. I'm not going to go get the electrical tape. It's irreparable. And I unscrewed it from the wall and I rolled it up and threw it in the trash can and immediately drove to Home Depot. And I'm like, I'm getting a new hose. And the old hose was very old. It was like an old solid rubber hose, you know, heavy. And I'm like, I think that's what I want to replace it with, but it's so hard to handle. It's always hard to handle. So I'm knocking things over. So I'm standing at the hose aisle and, right? And I'm looking at one of those new Fandangle hoses that are very light, like 100 feet, and it's in this little ball like this. And it's like made out of I don't know what it's made out of, but I was tempted by it because it's like so light and so easy. And I was feeling the energy of this man over here. And I'm like, this guy is going to tell me something about this hose. I just had an intuition about it, which is a ridiculous way to use your intuition. But I also know what kind of salad dressing you want on your salad. When I was a waitress, I could always guess. I'm like, you're poppy seed. Anyway, and he did. And he's like, those hoses leak. And I'm like, dude, that's all I needed to hear. And I went and picked up my 100-foot, 500 PSI rubber hose. And brought it home, and I'm like, this is going to be so awesome. It's like, and I'm feeling, listen, you can take it as the mundane story that it is, or you could feel into the metaphor here. Because I'm feeling into the metaphor. And to me, and I always am, so that's why it's one of the ways that I be, but I'm like, fucking A, it's broken completely. And now I get to finally let it go and quit limping along with it and get a new hose and get things to work right. So I bring it home and I screw it to the wall and I drag it onto the deck because this deck still needed to be cleaned up. And well, first of all, does anybody know how hard it is to break in a new hose? Just raise your hand if you understand. I did not know because the hose I had was 30 years old. It was fully broken in. So I've got a hose that is, I have to read this part because when I was writing it, I'm like, this is brilliant. Willfully coiled in its habitual kink, this new hose. It had been coiled up in this tight way to package it and all zip tied down in that way for however long it was on the shelf. So it's willfully coiled in its habitual kink, headstrong, resistant to change, choking off the flow, and heavy as hell. Metaphorical? I don't know. I wish you could have seen me wrestle with that motherfucker the rest of the afternoon, because it was like a parkour workout. You know, it's like, it's like, it is a full body experience. But I wish that I'd been filmed, because it was a lot of grunting and like being completely, it was absurd. It was so absurd. And I was thinking, you could never leave an elderly, infirm woman with new hose ever. It's like I'm making a note of it, thinking I would never do this to any elderly, infirm woman ever, to leave her with a hose and expect her to know that she could. It has to be trained. It has to be worked. It has to be worked in. I did for a minute consider that I was that elderly, infirm woman at certain points with the hose, but no, actually, I have to tell you that I do like to wrestle. I do. I really do. I like a good wrestle. Yeah, a little. So I like that it got a little rough between us. And it totally does bring out like this cowgirl energy in me. It's like you got to ride it rough sometimes. You know, it's like the best ponies are the ones that needed breaking in, like a hose. So it's going to be a perfect hose, I'm sure. But here's what I want to say is that it was worth it. So sticking with the metaphor, it was worth it. Because I really did want that quality of hose. It's probably going to last another 30 years. Oh, and by the way, I did learn how you break it in. You stretch it out. Take notes. You stretch it all the way out and you let it lay in the sun for like maybe a day or two. Or you can soak it in warm water, you know, to get out the kinks and all that, you know. Just taking notes for your hose or whatever. Here is why it matters. I have great water pressure, and this hose can take it. And I wanted to have the full impact of the water pressure that is available. Take it as it is, or take it metaphorically, however you hear it. Because then it can really blast off all the grime and the guts and all the cobwebs and the bird turds. It really can cut through the crap. I need a hose in my life that can cut through the crap. Thank you, Dawn. Wholeheartedly laughing. That's awesome. So it turns out it's a thing, you know, this thing with a hose. And so now you know how to handle yours in the future. And then the last note I have for you here is this: how to be a hose. She's slapping her thigh. I could die a happy woman right now. She's slapping her thigh. That's the best. How to be a hose. This is important. Take your notes. So, in many cases, in any case that you're empowering, I see you, the best of you words are coming out of your mouth like a high pressure hose to the windshield of anybody else's soul. That's right. Because our windshields can become so blinded by crap, bug guts, disappointment, our negative thoughts that are relentless, the inner critic, right, Dave? Our windshields just get like coated. And anytime we are a high pressure hose where we're going, I see you. You know, that friend that says, come on, man, you're the boss. What do you mean you're getting a job? I had somebody tell me that the other day. You're the boss, man. What are you getting a job for? But that means a lot, you know, for somebody who can forget that they're the boss or, you know, is starting to panic about whatever. You know, we lose sight. So this is the big idea that came to me today when I was doing this whole stupid riff on a hose, is that a true, honest, and specific reflection of the best that you see in somebody that you love can obliterate the grime and the disappointment of their existence. When you see, reflect, and shower something empowering or beautiful or affirming or real, that's like how to be a hose. Right? How to be a hose. Woo! It means the world. I mean, just to say one thing that is like, and I don't mean rah, rah, rah. I mean, I see you in this way. And it's a little better than what you're talking about right now. All right. Woo! Now, thank you for letting me have that time to share myself, my mundane microcosm that is a macrocosm. I know, right? Hey, I'm all about being the art in the art of living. And, you know, it's right there at the hose. It's right there. It's right there, right here. It's right here. It's right here. So let's start our concert for tonight. I know he's handsome. I know. But what I find most attractive about Dave Buddha is his mind. He has this quality of independent and critical thinking that I love. I will probably read just about anything he writes and posts. I love hearing how he thinks and what he has to say. To me, he's like sacrilegious and very religious. Like he's very sacred, but not in a corny, what somebody else says way. Not following popular sentiment, has a sense of irony and humor, and songs that will absolutely make you cry, and songs that will make you laugh at yourself for sure. Maybe even take you to a different point of view. And on top of all that, he has this beautiful, warm voice, and everybody who knows him knows that he is absolutely he's a mensch, as they say in Yiddish, a mensch. He's a good, good guy. So Dave Buddha, come on down. And Lauren Ong, I just met her, or should I say briefly or barely, at the Songwriter Sanctuary, and she was singing these songs that just like gutted me. That night I was crying my eyes out. And I went over to her and I'm like, I know Dave Buddha is coming for this concert in November, and I wasn't sure who the other person was, but I think it needs to be you, Lauren Ong. So Dave Buddha and Lauren Ong are going to come get themselves situated over here. I'm going to move out of the way, and then I just want to say real quick, they're going to go for about 50-ish minutes, and then we'll take a nice long break. And they're going to go a song, a song, a song, a song. So it's going to be back and forth. So it'll be this beautiful way where you can get the sound of each of them in this really, they're complementary and also quite diverse. And then after the break, and we'll, like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, nice long time to visit, we're going to do the first half an hour out of the break is going to be Dave Buddha. And the second half an hour is going to be Lauren Ong. So then they can go really deep into, like they each have their own little trance, you know, that they can put us into. So what do you think? You ready to go in? Dave Buddha and Lauren Ong.
That was such a sweet introduction.
It was.
Sacrilegious and religious. I really
Do I feel?
that.
Oh,
That
good.
fits so good. I do. Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
good.
that's so sweet.
All right, let's just do a little of this and that. You guys get yourself moved in, and I'll move out.
Great.